Copying someone's homework is one thing, but imagine copying another person's DNA.
Cloning, helpful or harmful?
The betterment of cloning in the near future could lead to our society's downfall or its evolution. The lack of diversity as well as security in our community could create a path of destruction, and the risks we would take to reach this point could be chaotic. If we use this procedure in moderation, however, and create laws to suppress its bad outcomes, it could end up being beneficial to our society.
The online article, Abducting the Cloning Debate, discusses the process of cloning a human. First, the nuclei are removed from the donated eggs of donor patients. Doctors harvest the eggs from female donors who have taken fertility drugs. Then they suck out the nuclei with a needle. The nuclei is the most important because it contains the genes and genetic information. Next, the nuclei are discarded and the geneless eggs are fused with parentless cells. This means that cells from the species who are being cloned are mixed with the nucleus-free eggs, and a jolt of electricity forces some eggs to fuse, giving the eggs a new nuclei. These rebuilt eggs divide to form embryos, and the embryos are implanted into surrogate mothers. According to the article, it would take about 29 surrogate mothers to produce one viable human.
Overall, the pros slightly outweigh the cons. There are many beneficial outcomes which could come from cloning that would lead to increased quality of life for people in the community. For example, same-sex couples would have the ability to experience having genetically related children. Instead of adopting, same-sex couples could create genetically related children without the use of donor sperm or donor eggs. This would make their child come directly from their own DNA instead of adopting a child who is not blood related to them. Endangered animals could also be cloned to save the species from extinction and could create a much wider variety of different species in the animal kingdom. For predators, this could also save them from dying out because they will never run out of a food source. The Human Cloning Project states that if this is successful, it could prevent many species from extinction. People in need of an organ transplant would be able to receive a cloned organ from their own genetic material instead of from another person who has died, since there is a severe shortage of available organs for transplant, and this would eliminate the possibility of rejection. After a person goes through a traumatic injury, cloning could be used to duplicate someone's cells to help them heal much faster than the normal rate, according to the Health Research Funding. Another pro would be that organisms could retain their desired traits and take out any unwanted ones that cause health risks, like the gene for breast cancer. In an article by HRF, they reviewed the ability of the new cloning process to eliminate any defective genes.
The procedure to clone humans as well as animals is almost always ineffective, with examples such as stillbirths and miscarriages. There's never been a human clone that has been without a defect or abnormality in existence. Being able to clone exact replicas of each other could easily and effectively diminish diversity within the population. This could also lead to the creation of a superior race and mass purging/genocide inside the community in order to eliminate minorities. Cloning could create many security scares in society. With just a small piece of your DNA, such as a strand of hair, we would have the ability to clone one another, which could lead to criminal acts of impersonation and identity theft. There would be a need to develop strict laws and safer security measures in order to ensure identities are not stolen. Along with the fact that cloning is ineffective, it is an extremely costly procedure. Cloning Dolly the sheep, the first mammal to ever be cloned, costed around $100,000. In relation to the procedure being unreliable, the lifespan and medical risks are also extremely high. On the slight occurrence that the cloned organism is born, most times they are found to have birth defects and small lifespans. According to the online article Goodbye Dolly and Friends, Dolly suffered from a severe lung disease and lived a lifespan of only 6.5 years. The Abducting the Clone Debate article says that the risks are too great and the moral costs are too high.
Novel Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein creates a living being out of dead human matter. Victor could have taken the time to raise a creature to assist society, but instead he treats it poorly and it becomes a hazard to the population. Relating to Victor Frankenstein, the Greek god Prometheus also introduces a controversial creation into the world, the element of fire. This defiantly original behavior creates two aftermaths, one of destruction and one of welfare. Cloning can be similar to humanity as these two myths were. Cloning, if used safely and upgraded to eliminate the risk of not working, can contribute to society such as fire. But if we let this tool slip out of our grasp, we could be in for major peril, such as Victor's community was.
The act of recalibrating nature through science is what most disturbs us about cloning, says Carrie Fries in her book, Cloning Wildlife. If the common theory about man being naturally evil is true, then this process could be a major threat to our society. But with the right precautions and oversight, the ability to clone could be of major assistance to our community.